And we're back with Captain's Table After Dark, or as Darge likes to say in his dark mode, After Darge. We've got reverse Darge going on.
After Darge. What?
Hold on.
And he broke it.
Yes.
Yeah. My granularity on my pitch dial isn't set right, so it's like nothing or max deep voice, and I don't like that. So just ruined my joke. So you ruined my joke before, and now I ruined my own joke. It's just like
one of those days.
It's not my night. It's one of those days.
Fired, both of you. Like effective. Back your desks. Get out.
So this is the question answer session where we do with the cast. We have a regular broadcast we do. It's kind of more topic and focus, and this is sort of more chaotic. We're going to get people from the stream asking questions, and so we're going to pull that out and answer the questions as best we can. And we have a bot, so if you want to ask a question, if you're live here, just preface it with question, and the bot will pick it up and make sure it's somewhat related to Star Citizen.
I thought it was the coin thing. It's no longer the coin.
No, because I've got a new bot that picks it up entirely on YouTube and Twitch. It'll pick up both. So
Ooh, the technology.
Yeah.
Captain Cataphract, I am a man of mystery, so if you want to get that information out of me, you're gonna have to buy me a drink.
He's from Pluto. He's the Prince of Pluto, the Emperor of Uranus.
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things, yeah.
Indeed. Quite.
All right. The first question from chat comes from Renimon, who asks, but do not prefab, quote unquote, prefab items mean that to replace them with a crafted item, you will need the blueprints for that item, be it a building or piece of furniture, an item of equipment, etc. To replace them with crafted item, you would need blueprints for that item. Maybe he's referencing the idea of having like each prefab is going to have prefab loaded like furniture inside.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So you'd have different modules, different versions of it.
I don't think it's going to go like that. I think it is going to be empty rooms, but unlike some heavily survival-based games, it's not going to make you build the building that you're in.
Yeah.
You'll just place it down and then provide resources, and the system will build it for you, instead of you having to design the floor and the walls and the roof and any sort of doors inside and the windows, like you can do in No Man's Sky, for instance.
I think the way they will go about it is in the building menu is going to be like, here's a size S prefab module. Do you want it empty or pre-built with sleeping facilities, medical facilities, whatever? And you can kind of either choose out of that list or kind of do empty and put in whatever furniture you want, because maybe you want to have a fabricator and a bed in there. I think that would be a reasonable way to go about it.
I think they said something about having some sort of snap system for putting stuff down too, so it's like it won't be like super
and magnetic locking. Yeah. Well.
But yeah, no, I think it'll be fine. I think you probably will be able to build one with all of this stuff like pre-furnished, but I don't think that's like required to. Next question is from Iran as well, who asks, what about something that isn't a quote raid, but some player turning up and destroying what you're building while you're building it? Call it base griefing if you like. That would be protected in normal space, and if they show up, if you're in pyro, you shoot them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to interact with anything or even trespass. In fact, if it's anything like the current hangars, it'd be a situation where they could just if you went on there, you couldn't pull out your gun, but they could pull out theirs and they just shoot you. Is that immersive? No, but it prevents the problem from happening. So, what do y'all think?
It's gonna happen. Like now, it happens that people shoot you when you're in a shop. The only thing that is gonna help you avoid this is A, bring friends who are gonna cover you while you're in building mode. B, build in safe areas if you're gonna be building alone. Or C, build so far away from anyone else, no one's gonna find you.
That's something I'm kind of curious
Yeah,
about.
pretty much.
When you build buildings, when they relax like armistice zones completely and have AI perimeter guards of cities, say you're not immediately in the city and you have good affiliation, say with Microtech or Lorville or whatever settlement is nearby, right? Will security patrol the region near your outpost or something and say a griefer does break in, but it alerts the local security in the area, you know?
Possibly. I mean, we're supposed to be base shields, so you just won't be able to interact with anything. They've said that in the past, so.
Yeah, that's like proper like full sec space, right?
Yeah.
UE controlled stuff, and then you have the mid sec where you buy the tokens for your shield protection, and there's null sec where there's nothing and you're on your own.
All right.
I was there was a thought I had, but I didn't want to interrupt. And the thought is gone. It's like the fleeting memory.
It'll
of
come
summer
back.
breeze.
Come back to.
Yeah.
Or not.
But
And it is
yeah,
lost.
no. It's
Right.
it's gone forever now.
Walter Hack asks, base building is still far away. Sway, we still miss engineering transit refactor. Do you guys think that? Okay, I'm going to read this again. Base building is still far away. We still miss engineering / transit refactor. Do you guys, with the slow progress in the PTU, feel we will even get crafting base building this year? Yes. I think we're going to get version 1 this year or version 0. Like, just because everything else is slow.
They're only avoiding tier 0 after 1.0, so there's still plenty of room for tier 0s.
Yeah.
I mean, from a developer point of view, if Chris Roberts came to me and be like, Space Coder is now your job to implement base building in 2025. First of all, I would be like, Chris, you know my name. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Second of all, I would probably go with something like placeable buildings, where it's like, okay, maybe we don't have the holographic hover trolley with the drones, but here's a 2 SCU box where you press a button, it's gonna extract ore from the ground, and you have to like keep it fueled with batteries, and it's gonna shit out gems every 5 minutes, and you can just place this somewhere.
Satisfactory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
how can you tell?
That's what I would do. It's like, yeah, but it's kind of base building. You're building a base for 10 minutes.
They've already shown at CitizenCon. There's
a shack and a generator.
as tier 0.
Yeah.
If they give that to us as tier 0, there will be a lot of complaints, but it will be a functioning system, I guess. Especially because they are integrating it with Starchitect, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way they're building their own bases is the same system.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it will be interesting to see how far because there was a lot of dependencies on what they showed, because you kind of have to have the drones there, you have to have the UI, sort of the resource processing. So
and the drones will have to be physicalized.
So there was a lot of dependencies that if you're going for like a minimal viable product, you want to eliminate dependencies, which you do by adding no UI and no drones. But that's just me being a lazy developer, because that's what all of us are. We are very lazy. We want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of effect.
Yeah. That's
but we're terrible people.
I believe is what they have right now.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, your camera's really funky. Let me see if I can't refresh it real quick. Because it looks like it's frozen.
Mine?
Yeah, I refresh it real quick.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm just gonna ban someone. Sorry.
Oh, that one? Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah.
Boom.
They're still there.
No, they're gone.
Yeah. Oh.
It's okay. All right, moving on to the next question. Did you have anything else to add to it? Because I mean, I think like the one question is always tough because it's basically what this is. But Chris said 12 to 18 months. I do not see them missing that mark with this because of how close they were with base building. I don't expect space stations and building bangles in 18 months, but like,
No, definitely not.
yeah.
But you are correct. There's a lot of dependencies they have to work on, and as Axis commented before, engineering is one of them. They showed off that specifically that they need fuses for all the buildings to function properly, and and power connections between like the power generating facilities and everything else. So engineering does have to come online before that, but it is two different teams that are working on it. So you know, it's not like the team that has is the same one that does it for everything else. So work can happen on both at the same time. So as soon as the engineering comes online, they have a lot more minimal work to do to integrate it into base building.
And base building's already in gray box, so it's like, and engineering is almost done. At least it was supposed to be in 4.0, and they pushed it out. So even if it's delayed,
I haven't read the latest monthly report.
There's
Did
nothing.
they mention anything about.
There's no mention in that. No. We'll probably know more.
On the mention
January.
of integrated, all the developers in the audience just think, "Oh, that's gonna be one heck of a merge conflict."
Yeah.
Because I did.
Yeah. That's why they have the PTU, the new ePTU system. So
yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Northern Trooper. I'll ask you this, Axis. Do you think we'll have the ability to interconnect
you do
bases?
That, eParkey. I believe in you.
Do you think we will have the ability to interconnect bases together? And if so, with roads, maybe with different orgs for route trading? Do you think we're going to be able to connect bases together, Axis?
That depends on how far you're allowed to build static segments of, what we define as a road, like a static mesh, on the grid. For roads, you typically have to find flat areas that connect and stretch between, well, say your settlement and the next one's about 16 kilometers. You're going to have to survey that area to find the flattest and most direct route between both areas. Especially if it's another org and you may have a toll station or something in between. Hey, people love commerce. I hate to say it. They will ruin it.
What about the word du jour, tariffs?
There we go.
You're funny.
In-game for Star Citizen toll booth operator.
I would hate to be the poor sap that has to tell Space Cutlet that'll be 50 credits, please.
Hey, I mean, there's an entire game called like Border Guard Simulator, where that's basically what you have to do. You're also inspecting people for like contraband and stuff like that.
I mean, there's Papers, Please, which is less about, which it starts off as that, but as all good games develops into something that you're completely not prepared for. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's one that's
it's border guard training procedure.
Yeah. Border guard simulator.
But I'll go back. Going back to the actual root of the issue, typically you would build on the flattest segment
Yeah.
in
That's
between
boring.
your outposts. And we don't know if okay, assuming this is a diverse builder, maybe there's some bridges kind of things. If there's like a ravine or waterway you're passing over, like a river or lake, you might have bridge segments. I'm thinking like SimCity. Who here's played SimCity in the
Yeah.
group?
Or City Skylines. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have some
I
preloaded
played
options.
SimCity when it was still a DOS game.
Mhm.
I'll have you know.
Same. SimCity 2000 and earlier. That was me.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the point
2000 was
is-
a great upgrade.
The point is, we would probably have several road options, and God, I hope some lights that are aimed down at 45 degrees. That way, at night, you at least have some way of a traffic network. Because if you have a delivery shuttle coming into your landing zone, because that's also an option. We know you can build landing pads. You would see the network, from approach, right?
Mhm.
So hopefully we get some
Yeah,
hazard
and you
light.
don't want any light pollution, just being a space game, right?
Yeah.
You want the lights being pointed down at the ground.
Hey, I'm an
Basically,
amateur.
we devolved into civil engineering citizen.
I mean, that's the question:
like,
is should you be able to do
I
these
mean,
sorts of civil engineering stuff, like where you're not just doing like roads or being able to connect groups?
Well, they
'Cause
did
the other question
show roads in the sitcom demo with the big base, but that was kind of part of the base itself.
yeah,
Part of the base.
more like
yeah.
between the two bases is the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm
I
assuming
really
if it
don't
allows you
want
to build
Anno
those spots.
2955.
Yeah.
Well, I will say
I don't want that sort of intricacy and modularity and everything, just because it that is fine for a specialized sort of game, but Star Citizen that wants to be a game about everything, you need to have only a sort of surface view of every aspect of everything that goes on into it. Otherwise, you are just simulating the entire universe.
I don't think you're going to have dirt roads or pea gravel roads. I mean, come on. That's like a million billion little entities to emulate in a little square patch. You're going to have flat pieces of road that are very simple to make. It's not going to be like SimCity, unfortunately, but we have to think about the object container system. It's not going to be like overly complicated. And it's probably only going to be used to connect your resource transfer networks between your mining outposts, your fellow satellite settlements, main arteries that you can't fly to due to, say, weather or other conditions. That's I only get away with this.
One thing I can see the Planet team creating is desire paths. If you're not familiar, that is basically just where people tend to go. That's where paths are created, and that is like if there's more traffic along a very specific spline or area, that is where roads will sort of organically start forming, but not like proper like built roads, but just there visibly there's going to be a corridor of where traffic organically flows, and that's going to be your road.
I figured that could work procedurally as well. If you have two bases that are driving distance, and for whatever reason you're driving instead of flying a spaceship, because everybody's just gonna fly a spaceship between them. Because all of us have 10 spaceships, so I'm gonna fly my spaceship from A to B, even though it's 16 kilometers. But
That is a very good point. Like, how are they going to enforce vehicle use instead of spaceship?
I mean, they could have severe weather events like what they showed in the Planetary tech demo, where it just drags down ships. But at that point, are you like, if it blows up a Zeus or an Aurora, are you really safe in a cyclone?
You're grounded to the ground instead of flying in the air. Aircraft are more or less safe in some instances than road vehicles because they have rubber touching the dang road.
Yep.
I mean,
But
yeah,
I wouldn't know. I don't have a car. I have a bus
but
pass.
all, good. But also if you're, why would a base exist in an area that is prone to having severe catastrophic spaceship destroying weather unless there's
Why do
something
people live in
extremely
Florida?
lucrative there?
Yeah. There's going to be something very good there in order for it to happen in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest with this whole thing. I do not understand the obsession of roads that the players have. I think from the American perspective, I'm pretty sure this is because Americans don't understand this thing called public transportation, and they think it's a communist plot to overthrow their brains. I'm absolutely 100% pro railroads. Anybody who's seen me knows me enough that I like trains. I love trains.
Right.
Darsh is an auto
Train
enthusiast.
supremacy.
Yeah.
There's a train supremacy channel on the Discord. Look, I love public transport
Yeah.
for its function.
Yeah.
If I needed to just go to and from work, I wouldn't take my car. I would take the public transport because over here it is much more established and there is a much better connected network. But the only reason I'm a car person is because I like driving. But I don't, I'm not of the mentality of that I would use the car for everything that would use it. And this, I guess that kind of translates to like I wouldn't use my spaceship for everything.
No.
It's like
But
I would use my electric scooter.
So like I get the idea of connecting stuff together, like a pipeline of some kind, where you could build
there's
a
probably
pipeline.
can be limits,
Yeah.
severe limits.
Pipelines from place to place to transfer resources from a base to base. Because like if you have a place that's really good and lucrative that has lots of resources, but then like it's also built around a place where there's just an absolute shit ton of Valakars that are going to eat everything you do. Having a pipeline that you can build means that you only have to worry about repairing and replacing that pipeline rather than having to deal with like everything else that comes with that. But you also don't want to build like your main base in a place where it's going to get attacked every 5 minutes. So I get the idea, that sort of idea, but I don't understand the roads. You have a spaceship, like fly your spaceship.
One thing they're missing is the road maintenance thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to severely limit any massive road networks because that's one thing CIG could implement.
Yeah.
A road maintenance
Now
bill.
we're getting into like a whole like spiel of like this is even good for the game.
It's way too intricate. No, it's not fun anymore. Yeah.
Look, guys, I'm gonna level with everybody on the stream. If you want roads, railways, conveyors, pipelines, go play Workers and Resources.
Mm-hmm. Or
the game is all about all these things. Not even Satisfactory, just Workers and Resources.
Mm-hmm.
If you want road networks and railways and conveyors, like a conveyor nightmare, Workers and Resources.
The reason why we're still talking about roads, though, is because there's like 4 questions about roads down at the very bottom, which I'm going to start reading right now, which is roads, when do you think? As in, you can't fly in certain locations. I couldn't tell you with
but something that just struck me like a couple of minutes ago is like spaceships are what in Star Citizen are what cars are in real life, and so then ground vehicles in Star Citizen are what a lesser mode of transport are in real life, like
bikes,
bicycles, skateboards, electric scooters, e-bikes, whatever it is. It's they still have their function for it.
But it's niche.
But but it is very niche. Even in places where cars are discouraged of partaking, like centers of big cities in Europe, like where they're increasingly creating more like pedestrian zones and bike zones and whatever, and cars are relegated to the outskirts. But so they have to really reconsider why would you not use your spaceship, and if it's a tax on it, I don't mean like a money tax, but like some sort of downside to it. It has to be implemented in such a way that it's not a hindrance in regular use where you would use a spaceship.
Mm. All right,
But
so
what would that be?
that's the thing. It's like there needs to be a thing, but like the question of like when are we going to get roads? What's going to happen? CIG's talked about roads, but the other thing is the CIG actually hasn't confirmed that they're still doing roads. They
No.
every single time it's been directly addressed. Roads. They go, yeah, inside the base, or something like that. Like they divert. Like they are not doing roads. Y'all.
The last time someone talked about roads, it was Brian Chambers, and it was 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before we
Like-
get
like
off
actual-
this, I will
actual
go with
Procedural roads on planets. Yeah.
Mhm. You're gonna say Axis?
There's a lore sensitive region in our local area that does pertain to off-roading, and we probably will need a cyclone to get to this settlement. On Magnus, there are 2 landing zones. You have Newcastle and you have the other city. I'm
Yeah,
bored.
it's
I think it's Newcastle. Newcastle's the one that's banned to air traffic because it was bombarded from orbit.
it's so Magnus. It's starts with an O. It's a city. It's named after a city in
Odysseia.
Ukraine. It's Odysseia, but it's not actually Odysseia. It's spelled like
Odessa.
Odessa. Yeah, it's
Odessa.
Odessa.
Yeah. Odessa is a city in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's also the
that's
headquarters of Drake Planetary. So yeah, I get what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're probably going to do with that in that case, because it's a forested world. They're probably going to have landing zones at the edge. You're going to be told to land your stuff there, and they're probably going to have turrets that'll shoot you down if you don't land there, because there's a no-fly zone around that entire city.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, with this topic on roads, because there's plenty of people who still talk about roads, is I don't think roads are important. I don't think roads are very important. I don't think they're important for gameplay. I think they're aesthetic only. What's more important is CIG's design of the planets. The planets need to be
And as the
able to
Daemar Rally
drive.
has shown,
You know,
you don't need roads where
No.
we're going.
exactly.
Just less rocks.
I mean, less rocks would be nice. Like reducing the boulder fields. That's all that really is important. You know. All right, move on, because we've got a lot of questions, and we're not going to sit here for 15 hours. Shapasta asks,
Ooh, longest podcast ever.
you'd have to beat more than 24, because we do 24 every year. You know that.
Oh, shit, yeah, it is. Right. Sorry. Longest Captain Stable ever.
Yeah. Shapasta asks, once we have base building, how will CIG get players back into cities or landing zones?
Good question.
I mean, I don't know the answer, which is weird. I kind of talked about it. It's like mission givers and resources and unique items and a bunch of stuff. I mean, like, yeah.
High fashion.
Yeah.
Maybe
Shopping.
shops you can rent out and actually have shops in the city that you run.
Or selling things. Because like if you're building a base, you're probably gonna be making the stuff that's like garbage, like the stuff that you can make money on, and then the stuff that you can sell to players. So being able to produce something cheaply that you can then produce and like sell at a landing zone will make you money. But you're not gonna sell your tier 5 special sandwiches to somebody in like the admin of Loreville, because okay, it's the wrong place to sell it. You sell it to players.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, I'm not selling it to the elite. Yeah, it's like the working people, the working class. Yeah, it's like the downtrodden. They know that they can't, go to Orison and have caviar on crispy toast cheddar. So they'll just go for a sandwich, and that's where I step in.
but yeah.
But yeah,
Your thoughts, Sarge?
I feel like landing zones are going to be the purview of NPC corporations. And there's going to be certain things that will still be outside of the reach of players, not in function, but in design and desirability.
Yeah. Space Cutter?
I agree. It's going to be the mission givers. Then you're going to have people who are going to be okay with just the gear you can get in the landing zone because they don't have a base or they don't have an org and they don't want to buy from other players for a surcharge or for a better item. So just a regular landing zone or a space station shop is good enough for these guys. And there is going to be casual players, people who play for 5 hours a month. And they're going to be at the landing zone. They're going to grab a mission, do their mission, come back to the landing zone, be there. So that's who I think we're gonna see there.
Axis?
Definitely what you guys have been saying. I mean, we're talking about getting people back into cities, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but how are you going to get people back in the cities once they have base building?
Well, it opens up with the modularity of the buildings, I think, because they're kind of interrelated. Once you open up building interiors, you could have people set up player shops, kiosks for orgs, whatever. A lot of these empty shell buildings will fill up. Kind of a limit.
But that's going to be prime real estate.
It really will be, depending on the area of the city. Think about it. Even in Loreville, there'll be the high-end area, probably close to the, let's just say it, the Blade Runner
CBD.
Tower. And the outskirts will probably be the cheap, low-end rent, right in the road kind of town.
Every time I go to Orson, the gamer in me is like, oh, that's cool, a floating city. But the adult is like, oh, the rent must be horrible.
I can imagine the Hurstons will cheat you out of money and the interior will be Spartan.
Orison is going to be expensive.
Well, not
How
only
are
is
they
it
going to afford the gold statues otherwise?
All right. Next question comes from Steve the Dancer, who asks, "We know in real life some people are corruptible. How would you feel if reputation could be gained by money?" Fine.
It's believable.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense.
I don't think every
Especially in Hurston.
maybe not every mission giver and every faction is corruptible by money, but yeah, making some mission givers corruptible by money or something like that, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, from knowing them, like Wallace Clem, Keisha Pacheco, definitely not.
What's his name?
Eckhart, maybe.
Miles Eckhart for sure, almost certainly.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do that.
I think there's going to be more difficult. It's like you would need to get to a certain reputation with him before he would allow you to bribe
him.
He wouldn't just allow anyone. Yeah, but Hurstons, they're open to just getting money from everybody.
I think what's his name? Constantine Hurston would definitely not take a bribe at first. He would be upset if you tried to bribe him. He would be like, I am a Hurston of the Hurston Dynamics Hurstons. This is outrageous that you're trying to bribe me. And then like 2 seconds later, it's like, but for that amount of money, yes, please, let's go.
Let's discuss this in the good
That is a lot of zeros.
Step into my room.
He would definitely be mad about it unless you hit him the right number. Then he'd be upset that you thought he was corruptible, but then be corruptible.
Yeah. So
that is absolutely outrageous. But I do want a second 890.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Miles Eckhart
for free.
Miles Eckhart.
So Miles Eckhart would be like someone you need to establish your credibility first with, but Constantine Hurston is just about the amount of zeros in the bribe.
Yeah. That also makes interesting things because Star Citizen's taking heavy inspiration from the old immersive sim genre, and like famously the original Deus Ex, you could skip like half the game in the very beginning of the game if you had the right dialogue options. by asking the right questions to the right person, you just get to half the game. And so the idea of you
It's very similar with that as well. It's like if you're a street kid or what's the other one, nomad, you don't get certain dialogue options, but as corpo, you get a lot of story based shortcuts just because you're corpo. Yeah,
and
I can definitely see you paying the guards of Klesher, like in Skyrim,
to
paying
leave.
X amount to be let off free and clear.
Yeah, and that adds variety to the gameplay. If somebody, because like somebody who's like, oh well, I got to really work up my way to work with Constantine Hurston so I can get in there, and then some guy who just walks up and just slaps a check down with a bunch of zeros on it, and it's just like, why? How the hell does he have all this reputation now? How do I done? It's like you just got to get good, kid. Get rich. Welcome to the world.
with with the guards, it'll be interesting. If you get to be the notorious bribing criminal, it's like every time you get caught, the bribe goes up.
Yeah, could have that.
Doesn't matter what the crime is.
These are just like simple, but you know what I mean. Like
That would be fun. It's like, oh well, we could let you go, but it's gonna cost you.
From a design
wink.
point, it's simple.
Yeah. It's just like the more you do it, the higher it goes, sort of thing. So
The higher the price for freedom becomes.
Yeah. All right, Steve that answered then asks, do you think refiners / crafters could make a blacklist make a blacklist pirates who attack them to prevent them from getting goods? Yeah, why not?
Yep,
Yeah.
why not?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that something that also touched upon in the social
Kill on site?
empire, whatever it is called,
Yeah,
the Citizen Con? Yeah,
The kill on site list?
That's just
Yeah.
or whatever.
It's called like an enemy list or something like that. You can set somebody as automatically hostile.
But basically, it's like sure, it's like if someone's on that list, you just like nothing works for them in terms of interacting with the other person. Yeah.
All right, Steve that answer that asks, do you feel that the refinery comes in the do you feel that when the refinery comes in the galaxy and the expanse will be do you feel when
Those are ships' names.
I know, but he says okay, so I'll read it slowly. Do you feel when the refinery comes in the galaxy and expanse will be put into the game?
Do you think when refinery comes, do you think when the refinery comes, like player facing refinery, is that when we'll receive the galaxy and the expanse?
Or do you think it'll be a large dedicated refinery ship?
That would be the Orion.
I think the question is, do you think we're going to get refining with the galaxy and the expanse, or do you think we're going to get a larger one as the first version?
Oh, right. Yeah. Probably expanse and galaxy, just because they have proper metric concepts, if not white box versions of those ships, and the Orion or the Arastra, yeah. But the Orion is basically just a really old concept that really needs rework.
Well, probably not the Arastra, because it has the size 3 mining lasers, and I don't think they know what that's gonna look like or do, or you know.
Yeah, I'll see. All right, I'm going to step away for 2 seconds as well. Carlos R asks, would it be enough to be able to build your fabricator in the hangar? So, like being able to have a fabricator in your hangar. I think that's a good idea for at least small stuff, because like in general,
let's say you're gonna have like communal refiners and communal fabricators.
That kind of suggests almost, Coder, that there's going to be like a communal area between the hangars, like what am I trying to describe? You know, like at an airport where you have like a lobby between the hangars.
Well, so the thing there is, you know, if you do it as a communal area, like everybody has access to like refinery deck, then how do you manage? Because I'm assuming if you set a or if you like set a fabrication job and it takes some time, it's keeping that fabricator occupied.
Right.
So how do you manage that with however many people are coming through? Because then someone could just like spam fabrication jobs in there, and that's gonna like block out the fabricator for days.
That's a
Something.
really good question. That is a really good question.
So what I think would be a better solution is just, depending on the size of your hangar, you're gonna have a small fabricator in there, and
Yeah.
Maybe it's not even gonna be for components or anything. It just could be like, for gear, weapons, armor, that kind of stuff.
I guess
So
it's
like
something
a
that, yeah.
small hangar has well, I think it might be offset from the size of the hangar because remember, you still have to land your ship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like that empty area,
All the
where
hangars
a
have
lot of
like
hangars
empty
go.
areas on the side, so you could
Yeah.
just add
Yeah.
another like alcove and be like, "Yep, here's the fabricator to do whatever."
So like the small hangar would have what did they describe it? This extra small fabricator. The
Probably.
medium would have the small, and then the large would have the medium, and then the capital ship size would be up to large.
All right. Next question comes from Steve the Dancer, who asks, "What ships do you think will come with the next big sale? What do you think of the Misk Fortune?" Well, I'm sure it's the Misk Fortune. We already know what it is.
It's gonna be the Misfortune
and the Super Hornet.
the
yeah.
Hornet variants.
Yeah.
What else is in the pipe right now?
Heartseeker Mark II.
Yeah, the Heartseeker, because that's coming out because of Coromore. So it's
No,
gonna
yeah,
be
Coromore.
So it's gonna be the Heartseeker, the Super Hornet, and the Miss Fortune. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
I do think because they did show it off, because the same place that had the Misk Fortune, the same leak that had the original discovery of the Misk Fortune, also had combat Titan suits listed in there. I think this is the year we're getting the combat versions of the Atlas, or the combat. That's Bob right, lore rise. Yeah, the combat versions of the Atlas. So
That gun you and I saw,
Mhm,
a couple
possibly.
of the Gatling gun that looked like it literally came out of Gundam Wing.
Yeah,
That was too big for a human.
It looked weird. It'd look weird if a human was carrying it because it looks very much like something you'd see in Halo.
What did you say that like a Ferengi? That was too big for human.
Oh, that was too big for human. Oh wait, I can almost do it. I almost can do it, but I'm no Quark.
That reminds me. For my birthday, my wife got me a shirt that says Quark's Bar on it. It's like the Quark's Bar logo.
Nice.
Like that. It's nice.
Is that from QWERTY? I need to get that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Iris, who asks, "Do you think CIG will do any better with property and housing policy than any real governments? Do you think there will be a need to limit the secondary land claim market, building fees, rent controls?"
Do cows fly?
Star Citizen's version of Zillow when...
Yeah, I think you'll see some of those elements, only if it's... All right, I'm going to have to rely on Space Coder to understand me on this one. All of those elements are there to deal with problems in supply and demand, specifically when it comes into things like with things like pricing. Because if you go too big on pricing, if you try to do too big of a price cap or a price ceiling or a price floor, you start fucking with the flow. With how things can function, and it can cause more problems than you realize. And
so the fucked up thing about this is that it's not just like supply and demand as an independent thing.
Yeah.
It also ties into interest rates,
Mm-hmm.
and that ties into the securities market, which kind of informs how expensive it is to get money, which informs sort of the supply available to buy property. And you kind of get into this endless loop of property price go up, interest rate go up,
Mm-hmm.
And nobody can afford
He
anything.
does have a master's degree in economy.
Yeah. Apparently I do.
But I mean, so the problem is that the market forces that would push any of those things don't exist in Star Citizen. Like there is no interest rates that are controlling, loans which are controlling the access to stuff. You don't need to take a loan to buy a plot of land. In
That's
Star
the thing,
Citizen.
I made a video on this a couple months back about the
no,
monetary
no.
policy in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
That is.
And-
I just realized that is something that's missing with the economy is the ability to take a loan out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Are there any MMOs that allow you to do that?
Yeah.
yeah. So the problem is that how do you regulate money supply in real life? There is monetary and fiscal policy for the government and the central bank to just take money out of circulation to avoid
Wait,
inflation.
just print more money.
But if you don't have that ability, because right now money in Star Citizen just appears out of thin air,
Mhm.
there's nothing taking it out. But if you don't have monetary policy, which you don't have if there is no securities market, because you can't just take the money out of circulation if you're not putting anything out there as a security. So you're kind of screwed. So they have to figure out money sinks that don't involve monetary policy. So they're gonna tax the ever-loving shit out of us
Mhm.
for everything just to remove
Yep.
money and decrease inflation. Because so here's a fun fact: inflation is actually healthy.
It's normal, actually.
But
It's
there's
good.
a caveat. There's a caveat. It has to be 2 to 3%, not the 16.
Yes.
Uh, if you go above that 2-3%, because here's the thing. So if you don't have inflation, then you don't have enough money for people to be buying things, because there's going to be more people wanting to buy more things, but there's not enough money to buy more
Those
things.
things, which
Right.
means the prices will go up
you
anyways.
you have to have. Yeah, you have to have inflation coincide with population growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
also
you have to.
success, because you want people to be able to buy and sell goods and services so that they can survive and thrive,
So,
hopefully. So yeah.
so that's kind of the problem that we're gonna have in Star Citizen, is that we need money sinks instead of a monetary policy. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a great video. I really put that economics degree to use.
Did you release it?
Oh yeah, it's been like a few months ago. It's
Okay. I
it's
remember you
called
talking
The
about it.
Taxman is out to get you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean that's a good point when talking about all of this, is that like taxes are going to be your thing, but they need to manage it because, as you said, inflation needs to be not 7,000%, which it does in MMOs when you have no way of taking the money away, because when people sit on money, then they devalue it because it's not as important. And, there's a entire
UE
economics
interest
degrees.
rates could be a thing. At securities markets.
They could
buy shares in Aegis.
They could actually like limit the money supply. They could legitimately say this is how much money supply there is, and that's what and simulate the whole system if they wanted to. That's not too complicated of a system. We've had models that simulate that system back in the 70s, so it's not like it's something new. The problem is more, does it add to the gameplay? And I think it does if you're dealing with like things like property, housing policies, and these sorts of things, which will eventually come into place when it comes to Star Citizen, simply because
The thing
usage
with
is gonna
like
be a thing.
how this relates to like
But
property in Star
that's a
Citizen.
thing that just can be. That's a thing that can be player facing. It has to be. If it is implemented, it's a system that just controls the economy in the background. But players shouldn't have to worry about all this sort of balancing of the checkbooks that they need to do in real life, because that's just sapping the fun out of it.
But it will impact your gameplay. Because if suddenly the price of your Karna's ammunition goes up 300% overnight because CIG fucked up the inflation market, now fucked up the market, that now you've got problems. Like it's something that players shouldn't have to care about, but they will have to care about because CIG can fuck it up easy.
But I think at least for like properties, we are kind of safe, because the big problem in real life with properties is that there physically is not enough property and not enough land. Which is, limitation of 70% of the planet being water, and about half of the rest of it being mountains or deserts or other places where you don't want to buy property. But in Star Citizen, technically we are in space, so technically there are other planets. So technically you can go buy property somewhere else. Assuming
But
you have
then-
a spaceship and money for a fabricator and to build a base and sustain a base, and it brings a whole new set of problems. And yeah, inflation is going to be a problem, and I declared it in the year of 2024. Everybody told me I am an idiot and I am wrong, and I will see you in 3 years for my I told you so.
Yeah, I agree with you. Inflation is going to be an issue that CSG has to address, which is why they need those money sinks. So,
But stuff money things like hangar
Taxes.
fees have always
Taxes.
been
Yeah.
talked about.
What's
There's
that?
going to be hangar fees, taxes, paying for planet shields and protection,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
mhm.
I'm letting the
Paying
brain
protection to
talk.
the
I'm
local
out of it.
gang. That's going to be a money sink.
Is transporting between zones, you're going to have to pay tolls of some kind, probably, if you're going to go between jump points.
Or public transport, like every time you step on a tram,
It
Louisville,
automatically
costs
draws your
5
UEC out.
Don't
It's like, oh, yeah,
evil Darsh. No. I hate the Lorville trains. May they burn. Crimson flames.
Golden
Elevator
flames
boy
to match
at
the statues.
Grimhex. He's going to be like, well, I can take you up, but that's going to be 50 credits.
All right.
And
Next,
50 credits is nothing when you have T-shirts at Invictus that cost 700.
they've changed it since then, but yeah, hopefully that'll go
have
down.
they?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
All
The
right, next-
clothing is. Whew.
Yeah, that was one of the part of 4.0's balance was they try to reduce the clothing, so it's not like 700 credits. It's now like 100 credits for a shirt or something like that, 50 credits for a
Okay.
shirt. But it's like,
It's only 5 times as much as it should be, but yeah.
yeah, it's now cheaper to buy a hot dog and a shirt than it is to buy, a magazine, or
Which is
a
not
gun magazine, which it should be. All right, Otakon asks, if the current trajectory continues, will Star Citizen make it 1.0, make it to 1.0 or go bust first? Okay, Otakon, the current trajectory is still high. CHE still made only 2 million less than they did last year.
Yeah. But late stage capitalism demands 10% growth at least.
It's not the first time this has happened either. It's happened in the past where they went down in 1 year and then went up the next year. I don't think I think the doom scrolling or the doom saying that has been happening over the last couple of months, where people are like, Star Citizen, CIG, and chaos. The upper management are quitting. They're firing all of their QA and constantly like that. I think that's all really bad, press shenanigans more than anything. It completely misses nuances.
Look, guys,
Explain my
as a
sham.
person who works at a software-based corporation similar size to CIG, firing 15% of your developers every couple of months is a completely normal phenomenon. It's fine. It happens.
And they don't do that. CIG hasn't done that.
Not yet.
They're the abnormal ones.
Yeah.
But if they
There's
get
nothing-
Squadron out.
I'll just say there is no there
Yeah,
is
they get, yeah.
there is no indication that they're going bust. They're doing fine.
Yeah, they're behaving
If
like
they
a
get
completely
squatted
normal
out.
corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
if
it
they
gets
get Squadron out in 2026, as they promised, that single month in the spreadsheet is going to eclipse the entire previous year,
Yeah.
and they'll have as much money as they want to spend on whatever they want. If Chris Roberts wants a new yacht, sure, he deserves it. His Squadron is good. You know what? Fine, I'll be fine with that.
It's important to not let this idea that anything that is possibly going wrong means everything is wrong. We often catastrophize news in not just in Star Citizen but in gaming in general. How many times have you seen chaos erupting in X gaming company when it's 2 months later the same press is singing the praises because the game's coming out. I remember a couple of months ago people were saying that it's awful, Rockstar is not going to be able to get it out next year. They're going to delay, and everyone was it's chaos. But now it's no, they're having a investors meeting or a shareholders meeting in February where they're going to talk about how GTA 6 is coming out in 2020 in this year, 2025. Like, how can these two things be the same? They're not. It's because somebody is over dramatizing it for sales of newspapers and stuff like that. So it's always important to see not what the newspapers or what any individual is telling you. It's also important to see the whole picture to see out what's actually going on. Relying on one source is never a good idea. That's all I'll say. Yep. All right. I didn't know if you were going to say something, Darsh, because you're kind of...
Yep.
Yeah, so.
I was just waiting for my camera to refresh.
Yeah. Questions. What's a newspaper? Oh, God.
What's a computer?
Drakea asks, some quantum drives have speeds well past the speed of light. How much does that go against lore? A lot, but it goes past the...
No, they don't.
They don't go past the speed of light. They go to the speed of light. There's some of them that go to the speed of light.
Yeah, one of them has 300,000, which is just slightly over. It's just like one of them, yeah. Although, if you want to say that like the distances are compressed by to 1/8, then yeah, all of them do. But otherwise, if you're considering speed of light is 299,792.458 kilometers per second, even in Star Citizen. Wait, current 890 drive is 1.7 C? What?
That's news to me. I've heard in the past they go up to, but not over.
That's like over 400,000 kilometers per second, right?
I think so. I don't know the math of, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is that anything we have right now isn't necessarily lore based, and CIG can just change it. It's just a number. The concept of the number that they picked, which was like 0.2 C, I think, or 0.3 C.
509.
Oh.
That is a design that's like a design consideration that's been said a while ago by Chris Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
And never been addressed since.
They constantly reinforce that in the lore, so it's clear that they're still trying to stick to it. It's just the developers are testing out speeds to see what they like, and when the game reaches 1.0, they'll either change the lore to whatever it is supposed to be, and or not. That's it.
Yeah.
Othwan, you're coming in at like hour 3 of the show, where we've talked the first half of this was talking about that. So
yeah,
but basically, yes, we do all agree with you that base building is a good idea if it's implemented correctly.
All right, Shimpasa asks.
TLDR, yes, with reservations.
Yes. Shimpasa asks, do you feel that decorator mode will kill immersion in Star Citizen? What do you think, Axis?
What?
no way. I agree with Darj's reaction. Who wants to spend hours looking at the same interior of the same hab, only in different locations fabricated by different vehicles? Why does that sound fun? That doesn't sound very immersive.
We already have.
Yeah, exactly. When you visit my hab, you'll be welcomed by the pyramid of sandwich. It's like there's only going to be in my hab. Yeah, that's where immersion is.
I'm expecting Paul to have a statue of himself in the atrium.
Please, I'm not
Made
that.
of gold.
I'm not that egotistical. I'll have a statue of like,
Cam.
Cam. Yeah, Cam. Well, no, I love Cam, but it'd be a statue of Cal Mason and made of gold in my
No,
atrium.
what he'll have is when you enter his hab is like a corridor that is lined with racks and racks of vests and ties.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
If they let me make one of the guy that discovered Croshaw, that's going to be in my library.
There you go.
That is a person called Croshaw.
Nick Croshaw. Yeah.
The person who discovered Croshaw is called Croshaw.
Okay, but you were in an ad. Othman was I asked is base building. Yes, that's a TLDR opinion so far. Yes, with caveats is what it was. I think the idea of having a decorator mode doesn't kill the immersion because it's needed for gameplay. It's boring. As somebody who's played a lot of those games where you sit out and decorate your game, your stuff, some people are built differently and will just do that. But I am not one of those people. Like, that is absolutely not my style, and I'm hoping and I'm gathering that that's not most people's styles in the same. You want to be able to decorate, but you want to make it so that you can do so in a way that you can have control over, not that's awkward and hard to maneuver, which is a problem. So, speed of light is
299,792
meters per second.
458 meters per second. Yes, I know that is my favorite number.
Is there really a drive in the game that will do that many, a gigameter every 3 seconds at top speeds?
Gigameter every 3 seconds, yeah. It takes a while to get to that top speed. And as they showed in CitizenCon about building your own sort of components, like tiers going up, it'll be spooling and cooling and acceleration times are gonna go down as you get more quality components. Yeah.
I don't. This is from one person's comment saying that it went to 1.77C. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
All right. We've got.
We need to go to air cool.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 10 questions left. Do we think that the Expanse will have any kind of small?
We're only half an hour into tomorrow.
Do you think the Expanse will have any kind of small fabrication or just refining? Just refining. There's no fabrication. Yeah.
There could be a variant of it, just
Maybe.
like the misfortune.
Sort of, but the
seems to be a
misfortune
variant
is
of the
the
prospector.
It's sort of built off the same chassis, but doesn't seem to be the same. All right.
Sure. So it could be like.
Yeah.
So it may not be modular, but it could be like but also not a variant, but just like the misfortune versus prospector. It'll be the Expanse versus the contract. I don't know.
The Construct, because it's an equally stupid name.
Have they even said
Yes.
how big the Fortune
Yes.
is?
What's up, Axis?
Have they even said how big the Fortune is? If it's the same size as the Prospector,
It's about the same size.
It looks like it has
Expanse the
basically
same?
99% of the same. Other where the saddlebags are is where the exterior cargo is,
Yeah.
and that's it. And it
What I'm
doesn't have
trying to
like
see-
the lights below the cockpit glass.
What I'm trying to see is if these three ships could be Misk's version of the Atlas platform.
Could be.
Hmm.
All right. Simon Wolf asks, how many of you experienced base building in Star Wars Galaxies? I very, very little did. I didn't build it myself, but I did see people building bases, and it was around that area. And if so, what lessons would you bring from that experience to Star Citizen for CIG and for players?
Haven't played, so
Did you
I'm
play
not gonna
Space Coder?
speak.
No. No.
Okay, so the one thing I will say is the thing that made base building fun in Star Wars Galaxies was you could build settlements. It wasn't just a base. You were building a town. And that town could evolve. And so you'd, the idea of if you're going to do something like Star Wars Galaxies, the main focus would be to make it so that the bases aren't just sort of rust bases, but more advantageous to kind of encourage players to settle near each other or, with protections, that kind of stuff. So you need to have a community. And if that was one thing I would say from it is like that's what CIG should focus on with base building, is allow for their individual sort of bases and such, but the focus on community should be the main focus of base building outside of the initial gameplay.
Oh yeah, so I'm looking at the Star Wars Galaxies Wikipedia page.
Mhm.
I was 12 when this shut down.
When it shut down.
I was, it came out in 98, I want to say.
It was released
Oh, it's 14.
June 26, 2003.
2003. Okay. 2003.
Wow. How
So
young
I
are you?
was-
What the fuck?
I was 6 when this released, so no, I did not play this.
So yeah,
So you're
so
a 97 baby. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I'm an 87. He's only 10 years younger than me. He's 30. He's 28.
I'm an 84, baby. I'm old.
Towns were basically walls of buildings. You put so together you couldn't walk between them. That would sometimes happen, yes. But I remember getting them in the early 2000s. I remember getting the Jump to Lightspeed expansion was the one I got into, and I enjoyed it. But yeah. All right. Next question comes from Dragon Wolf, who asks, "I plan to name one area of my base, quote, a rock, and another another area, quote, a hard place. What puns would the panelist put to your bases?"
Ooh.
Quite a few dirty ones.
Go for it, Daxus.
Go
Let's
for it.
hit us. Hit it.
It is the After Dark section,
Yeah.
so you're allowed.
Okay, let's see.
Base names.
Okay, let's see. Dick and Tree. I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't know how this is a pun, but yeah, I can get it. Let's see.
I mean, if we're gonna be, I'm just gonna be the worst here, so everybody else come out with clever.
Let's see. Last call is a good one. I think I like
That's a
last
good
call.
one.
I am told that I have to name a room or a building at my base Skiff 3, but that's an ADI inside joke. No one's gonna get it.
Um.
And there has to be a drain in the middle of the room.
So someone will want me to name a building or a base the Redeemer, just because they think it's funny, you know.
If I put my sandwich shop in a sandy place, I guess it'll just be called the Witch.
There we go.
Not sure if you're a fan of that game, Paul. Shadowrun.
Shadowrun, that'd be a good one. All right. Next question comes from Steve the Dancer, who asks, "How much would ship transport missions have? How much would ship transport missions save on ship claims?"
According to CAG, the majority.
Yeah, so the idea of like actually transporting a ship from point A to point B rather than
just claiming it. Yeah,
claiming it. Yeah, probably a lot. But that could also be done as a back-end feature where you just say transport this from point A to point B and it just does it in the back end. And it's just a timer.
Yeah, but they won't want to do that. They will want to have it be physicalized. Just because they're CIG.
I could see them breaking on that and doing it more as a back end. Because I mean that's what happens in Elite. Elite does it.
The Kraken would be one of the only player-owned ships I could see remotely anytime soon. Well, maybe the Ironclad.
Maybe
the Ironclad is that huge.
Yeah, you could transport. You could definitely transport like vehicles, but at probably the biggest.
What's that Anvil one?
The Liberator.
Liberator, yeah.
But Liberator can only hold like
small.
A
whole series.
Yeah, but we can't currently do that. You know, you can't really.
I mean, they did eventually say you will be able to palletize
a ship.
The whole, so...
Yeah. They showed a whole sea with like comically sized hot dogs attached to it.
Yeah.
So if we can attach anything to a cargo grid, I'm sure we'll be able to attach other ships to a cargo grid.
All right.
It's not going to be like in an old concept where it was like,
generally one of the things
to make it a container.
Yeah, like the CAG are very obsessed with physicalization.
Mm-hmm.
And, I get it. You want to have a living, breathing universe where things are physicalized and simulated. They just still haven't realized the part where this is a development nightmare. So, like, no, just make it.
Work in the back end.
CAG. Yeah. I'm going to explain to you how to do this. Go to the Visual Studio solution for Star Citizen. Right-click on the solution. Click on Add Project. And you're going to call it the Ship Transport Between Landing Zones Service. And all that's going to do is going to have one thing. It's going to have a transport ship. And it's going to have the ship ID in the database, the ID of the source, and the ID of the target landing zone. And all it's going to do is it's going to move that ship in the database, in the entity graph, from point A to point B. all it's gonna do.
Yeah.
And suddenly claims are gonna go down 80%. You're gonna write one integration test for this to see if it does move from A to B, and that's it. Done. Finished. Major feature complete. Have some poor guy do the UI for the ASAP terminal, and you're done. You're golden.
At most, you might want to add a timer to it, like you do with the claims. But the difference is,
At most.
yeah.
But that timer is going to be a lot lower than the
claim.
projected timer for manufacturing
Yeah.
a new ship. Well, they
You're
say
right.
that's going to be like a spectrum, just because like most common ships they're going to have an inventory of, but rare ships they will have to be bespoke made. So it'll be either or, but for the majority of the ships, I would say the wait timers are going to be lower than manufacturer timers.
So just do that.
Hmm.
It's a week of work for 2 developers at most. Do it, CIG. It's like major quality of life improvement for everybody.
No, but they want to create a ship designed specifically for transporting other ships.
They do, and they haven't built it.
But
It's called the Liberator.
But how do you transport the bigger ship that is designed to transport other ships?
At that point, how many angels can dance at the head of a pin? That's what you're asking, all right, man. Let's move.
No, but at that point, it's a valet service. You just employ a pilot to take it from A to B.
Yeah.
Yes, a ship shipping ship that ships ships. Thank you.
Yep. How many ships could a ship shipping ship if a ship shipping ship could ship ships?
All right. Next question. Malakina asks, do you think we will be able to build the Bengal cannon boat? Oh, the
battle cruiser.
The battle cruisers. Yeah, the Integrity class.
The Corvus.
Yeah, the Corvus class. Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
I would almost think they would be easier to build because they're smaller than the Bengal.
Yeah,
by a lot.
It's slightly smaller. It doesn't have the extra thrusters on the top.
Mm-hmm.
It probably doesn't have the hangar inside of it, but it does have the extra guns. So I'm guessing it'd be maybe like an 80 to 90% of the effort.
Mm-hmm.
By that same token,
the Hangar is supposed to be a flagship, right?
The Krugari? Yeah, Krugari is his flagship.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think by the same token, probably we will get the blueprints of the smaller ships first, if we get them that way. Be it through a mission for the UEE, say against Xeno threat or some other common enemy, maybe the Vandul as a reward. I think it's going to be like a really tight locked reward, because any ship like that is going to be just like an exclusive reward.
Yep.
Sorry. I agree. I think it's one of those things where it's definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to happen, but I do think that it's going to be a later thing. I agree with you on that one, Axis. All right. I'm kind of fading here myself. So, and it's not even 6:00 my time. I have food. I have to get some food in me is the issue. Escape asks, possibly dupe. Maybe dupe. I don't know. Duplicate. I don't know if it's dupe. If it means, because it says, do you believe that we will see a better mechanism for base defense than shields? Oh, possible duplicate question. Okay. Do you think we'll see a better mechanism for base defense than shields with unlimited power? No. Why not? The shield is just is a hand waving excuse to just not, is why your stuff can't get exploded. Why your stuff's invincible.
Yeah, there's a possibility if you could do PDCs and sort of AA stuff, but all of those have range, and all the attacking ships just have to, make sure they're out of range, which is very easy to do with an A2. So shields are the best, like you said, hand wavium of protecting.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a simple solution, and as we were just kind of, if you couldn't tell based off of our discussion about how we move ships, I'm a fan of simple solutions to complex problems. They make a lot easier. So it may not be as immersive, but as I've always said, when people say, "Well, this isn't a believable game," it's like, what cue you in? The bird aliens, or the fact that they're flying World War II dogfighters in space? You know, like since the beginning of the game's pitch was World War II dogfights in space. Like, come on, man.
Even the most hardcore realistic space franchise, The Expanse, has unbelievable parts to it.
It has unlimited power. It has the Epstein drive.
The Epstein drive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Which was a simple solution to a problem that would have existed no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heisenberg compensators. You know, the same idea. Just like, how does it work? It does. You don't need to talk about it.
Yeah. Why does it work? Because the writer decided it has to.
As long as it's consistent with those rules, you're good. You know.
Yeah. Yep. And that's how you get Star Trek. Is like they have so many shortcuts and so many conveniences, but it's because they make them work consistently. It's what makes it a believable universe. It's like you just have to trust that this thing works, and then
let's just look at Warhammer. Like the entirety existence of Warhammer 40k is like, how does this work? Mechanicus.
Yeah, ancient technology.
Because one dead guy is still locked in a throne is being fed 1,000 psychers a day. Yeah.
Yep. Space magic, demons.
Literally,
Mechanicus.
Demons. The hell.
Machine spirit.
Yeah. All right, Shampasta asks, do you think CIG will kick off base building with hangar modules? No. I don't think so.
I so wish.
We kind of talked about this earlier with the idea of doing a fabricator built into a hangar. I don't know if we're gonna see hangar modules with like base building though. What do you think there, Axis?
Not initially if they do it, because there might be initial limitations like standalone buildings, but I don't think 1.0 will have like huge sprawling complexes because we're only in server meshing 1.0, not enormous. You know, we're not in, what is it, dynamic 1 or 2. We're not in the more high-end server meshing. I don't think it'll allow for it.
Okay. Space Coder, what do you think?
Yep, I agree. I don't think what the word on hangar module is right now. They kind of quietly removed the hangar mode from the main menu like many years ago. It would be cool to see some optional add-ons to hangars in game. If you could like configure your home hangar, like you want a fabricator or you want like a second elevator to spawn vehicles. I don't think we're gonna see it before base building though. I think it's gonna be a completely separate thing, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we have hangar modules now."
Yeah. Sorry, Dash, your camera is trying to kill itself.
No, it's not the camera. The camera's fine. It's like my fucking connection. I don't know why it's so inconsistent.
Enough internet for you
I
today.
want the hangar module back so much because that was like the Revel in New York hangar where you could just take the elevator up and go around the walkway and you have 5 different lounges and shit like that. I want that sort of stuff back. But yeah, that feels more like a later addition to the base. Like you're gonna have a single hangar that'll be exactly like the ones you have at landing zones or space stations where you can pull up your ship just because that is the assets that they have that they're working on, because the people that are working on the actual assets are busy doing something else while the people working on the features are creating player hangars.
That's going to end up being the thumbnail for this section is the return of the Hangar module? Question mark.
You're gonna have a lot of clicks on that one, bro.
I'm going full bore YouTuber mode with this new channel because people don't want to do it.
Just don't add emojis to the thumbnail. I beg you.
All right. So the next question comes from Seth's Speed Shop, who asks. We only have two. Who asks question: Do you think we'll get the same buildings that are already in the game? Think subsurface level like landing pads and pyro. Yes, to a degree. Some of them will be the exact same. Like he's talking about like we have with the frontier design versus like the other things. Yeah, but they already have their own tool set, which is different from the frontier design that they showed off that are designs for base building. So it'll probably be a different style, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got those as well in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be different style, sort of new looking, but you're going to have the similar sort of form, of a subterranean landing pad type situation. But we shall see when we see.
The tool to create those, so it's going to be the same, but the visuals will be slightly different. Yeah. But mechanically they'll fit together the same way, just like you have the current like space station interiors and the the bunkers that are basically have the same sort of logic to them but different visuals.
Yeah, I like high tech style. I like what they're doing, but I grew up in Central/Eastern Europe. I like concrete. I want concrete. Concrete good.
Brutalist.
I want like
Brutalist.
brutalist.
Or was it Kami block? Kami block. That's what we call it. It's called Kami block. You want that Kami block? Yeah.
But the stuff
I live in one.
It's not a Kami block. It more looks like 3D printed concrete, which has curves, and Brutalist is all about 90-degree angles, and I hate it so much.
You all want to talk about like defensibility and durability of bases. The other day I was trying to put up a painting. It took me half an hour to drill a hole into the concrete that is my wall. With a drill,
you don't have a hammer drill, do you?
For drilling into concrete.
Castra
you need an
Go ahead, Axis.
SCS.
Axis was going to say something. Axis.
Castra's bringing another style to it that's similar, if I remember straight.
Yeah.
Heinoism, you said?
Yeah, Heinoism. Yeah. Which is a brutalist style of architecture. So, yeah.
So we may be getting that once Nyx is in. We're going to get that probably developed. Yeah.
All right.
Space Coder, you need something called an SDS hammer drill.
I have one. I specifically bought. I went to the hardware store and I was like, "Hello, I just bought an apartment in the panel building, and I need to put up some paintings and some shelves. I need a device for this." And they were like, "Here, this is the device. Good luck."
What was it? Was it a Hitachi?
No.
No, sorry. A lot of people on the internet think of Hitachi as that thing. But no, Hitachi is a conglomerate that makes diggers, and air conditioning units, and TVs, and
the wand is just one of its products. I know, but it's like
yes.
It's funny that you mentioned that.
It's like an actual Bosch drill.
It isn't a Bosch. Okay.
It's still, it still took me half an hour to drill 2 holes to hang up a Lego thingy.
It shouldn't have, unless you had rebar, which then you.
I bought a device to find the rebar so I could dodge the rebar.
Wow.
But it just happens that the comrades who built this building just had a particularly good batch of concrete that day, because holy shit.
Was it built during the Cuban Missile Crisis? You know, where they're just like fuck.
We didn't care about the Cuban Missile Crisis. We had our own missile crisis.
Yeah. Like it was just like me drilling, and I'm like, my neighbors are gonna kill me at the next HOA meeting. Because last time I did this on a Sunday, and now we're banned from drilling on a Sunday.
No, just no noise making on Sundays.
Mm-hmm. All right, the last question comes from Northern Trooper, who asks, do you think there will be a limit to base building, or if the base building is big enough, will it require its own DGS instance?
Oh,
Probably, maybe.
I wouldn't be
Depending on
surprised.
how crazy they feel.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're instanced. They're fully instanced, completely removed from the from it. At least initially, and then when you get to them, you have to kind of like go into the instance, sort of thing.
Like the Valakar battles are going to be instanced. They pretty much said that. So they could be leaning heavily towards instancing other things.
They've already talked about things like the instancing of the
subterranean missions,
and then also
whatever,
like Vandal like missions, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
You kind of have to instance. You can't have everything be available to everyone, everywhere, all at once, because that way is just you're melting servers at that point.
Yeah, I think it would be too overkill, even on dynamic, like somebody's mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
I love the chat. Is like comparing the defensibility against the handheld drill versus a missile attack seems unreliable. Yes, I had the right drill and the right drilling device. It's just
take a picture of that, Paul. That needs to be part of your highlights folder for 2025.
What, comparing the defensibility against the handheld drill versus a missile attack?
Comments file. Like comments show. Oh my gosh.
All right. Yeah,
it's a fair comment.
Yeah. I mean, I know the commie block structures, and I know they were built basically to withstand a fucking tank round to them. So, so.
Look, the walls may be crooked.
Interested, if you're interested in the brutalist sort of architecture, there is a series of monuments in what used to be Yugoslavia that are basically just concrete and stainless steel cladding and shit like that, and they are
Yugoslavia. You mean the loose coupling of nationalities that hate each other with passion.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that used to be a vacation spot for some reason.
But that's just Europe.
That is kind of you just described humanity.
Pretty much.
That was the last question of the day. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for this wonderful thing. Someone did say something. I'll kind of finish up this one because someone said like you all seem to be saying like talking about how base building's coming this year, and they said they didn't believe that that base building's coming this year. I will say that, and I think we already said this. I said that I believe we're going to see base building this year, but in a tier 0 way. And a couple of shacks and an extractor, a generator, a generic building, and an extractor, and maybe that building also has a fabricator, like because they seem to be very interested in getting it tested this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
We've seen their like gray box designs for other sort of buildings, but there's no guarantee that those also have the functionality that they're supposed to have, or if they're just assets that a 3D modeler put together over a weekend.
Yeah.
So
based off of the conversations that people had at CitizenCon, those were all in engine. They were all in game. They were working. They were
sure.
So yeah. But the question is like
they're working. That's a different The
question is more like, does the UI work for the drones, and is the drone physicalized, and all the like those sorts of things, the connecting tissue that makes a build a base. So
For Tier 0, if you like really wanted to go with the drone way, you could not physicalize them and just kind of be like, yeah, you can build X buildings at once with this at this speed, and like you could have virtual drones, just not like physical drones, and that kind of removes one
That's what I
level of
have,
complexity.
But
Excuse
also, who's
me.
going to create the organization called Build a Base Workshop?
Gee, gosh, wow.
that's one of the puns. You really missed it. Build a Base Workshop. That's the name of one of those things. On that, I'm going to end it there. This the Darsh can end on a pun. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out jrdf.sc, where you can find Darsh's wonderful models turned into glorious 3D models you can purchase and paint, assemble and paint. Check out the Armory, and I always forget the other one. It's the Hauler. Yeah, the Hauler. And of course, the Space Coder on YouTube. Check out Axis 0096 on Kick, YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. And of course, if you enjoyed this,
And 1-to-100 kit of the Raven launching on Valentine's Day for everyone. That's the plan. Don't hold me to it if we fail. We're just running on CIG time at this point.
the plan is a 1-to-1 Saber Raven kit for. So if you want to get yourself a Saber Raven, model, not a 1-to-1.
Not a 1-to-1. No.
1-to-100. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was say 1-to-1 kit.
Like the one we made for CIG for Frankfurt was 1-to-8.
Yeah.
And that was big enough already.
But if you did enjoy this, make sure you hit that follow button here on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and if you're watching this after the fact on the other YouTube, make sure you're subscribing to the Captain's Table Podcast YouTube. The other YouTube. That is where this is eventually going to be moving over.
What we mean.
This is where this is eventually going to be moving over for the live as well. So make sure you subscribe there if you want to continue watching this live. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, follow the podcast there, and make sure you leave a rating. I'd love to have that, and leave a rating and leave a comment. I read every comment. I mean, I respond to every comment, but I do read them. So I want to hear your thoughts down below. And as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
And if you leave a